Alright, so hello and welcome. My name is Mr. Jensen. I'm an art teacher in District 203, and for this first video I'm going to be demonstrating two art elements, and those are line and shape. So the reason I'm starting off with line and shape is because I feel like they're kind of your most two basic elements. Those are the ones, especially line, kind of the very first elements you start off with and kind of intrinsically use, whether you're knowing it or not. So this is going to be a series of videos where I demonstrate elements and principles of art, and these videos are intended for my adapted art class, but they could also be used in other classes just as resources for any students that could maybe benefit from them. So the very first element of art that I want to start with is line. And the materials I'm using today in this video is just a blank sheet of light blue construction paper, and then I have two different ink pens. One's a Sharpie marker with kind of a thick point, and one's just an ink pen with a thinner point. And I'll talk about the reason I'm using two different types of pens. But first, let's talk about line. So line, L-I-N-E, I just used line to create the word line, is two points that connect or form or span a distance. So let's see, or I should say two marks that connect or span a distance between 2 points. So for example, I'll just start off with a straight line. There's a line, and the two marks would be where the line started and where the line ended. Lines can be wavy, they can be jagged, but again, there's a starting point and an ending point on both of those lines. Okay. So, moving on, a line is only two-dimensional, which means that it only has a width and a length. So the width refers to how thick a line is. So if I'm using my Sharpie marker, you can see I create a thickness there based on the tip of the tool. And then I'm going to use a finer point. And you can see how thin that line is compared to the thicker line. So there's the width, just the thickness that we were just talking about, and the length. Okay. So how long that line is, or how short that line is. So the thickness of a line in art is often referred to as the weight of that line, or a line weight. So this line here has a thicker line weight than this line here. And this line has a thinner line weight than this line here. So line weight refers to the thickness or thinness of a line. Next, we're going to move on to shape. And shape, S-H-A-P-E, shape is pretty much a line that has been closed. So in these examples of line, they're very open. You have a beginning and an ending. Well, with shape, it's also two-dimensional. It has only a length and a width, but that line closes. So for example, start with a line here, wrap around, and where I started, I'm also going to end. So now it's also a line, but again, that line has been closed, capturing the space that is on the inside. So you'll find with shapes, you can close a line in any direction to create different shapes. Here we have a triangle, here we have a circle, which leads me to two different types of shapes. There's organic shapes, so organic, and there's also geometric shapes. Geometric. So organic shapes are going to be shapes that have more curvy lines, and geometric shapes are going to be lines that have sharp edges. like a rectangle. There's these sharp corners, straight lines. Geometric shapes are often found in mathematics. If you've taken a geometry course, you're probably very familiar with some geometric shapes. And organic shapes are oftentimes, you can kind of influenced or found in nature. So such as leaves, flowers, rock formations. So organic lines are more curvy, more free-flowing, whereas geometric lines or shapes are more angular, have those sharp, hard corners and straight lines. So I think that about covers line and shape. In the next videos, we'll move on to form, which we'll be talking about three-dimensional forms. But right now we have line and shape, two of what I consider to be kind of the most basic art elements, and both of these are two-dimensional, so they only have a length and a width.